The Circuit de Catalunya in Spain, 4.7 kilometers, 2.9 miles, 16 turns. Plays host to round 2 of the Winter Series here at FSR, and it is delightful. And I'm raring to get going here alongside Chris Jong in the commentary booth. Welcome back, Chris. Once again, it is absolutely delightful to be commentating with you again. And we've seen Patrick de Wit in the first round, and already our attention focuses to him. He's got the pace this round. He's changed a lot as a driver. And how's your winter been? And how do you think Patrick will fare here in the second round?
Yeah, welcome back, everyone. Well, to get straight on that, I think Patrick is showing a fantastic job with his last win in Menu course, and well, he's showing some promising times. And but to come back at that question of you, my winter was cold. My winter was very cold.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
and of course,
my summer.
Yeah, of course, in Australia it's summer now, and like you said earlier, you're enjoying comfortably 32 degrees. In the sun right now.
Yes, and it was a very good day compared to 2-3 weeks ago where I was wearing jumpers and hoodies in 20 degree summer weather. But anyways, we'll
kick off 20 degrees.
We'll kick off qualifying at the moment. We'll have two groups in this session currently. It's Group 1. There's 12 drivers out on track, and the lights will go green anytime soon as they head towards the end of the pit lane. It's Dewald Nell who actually goes back to his garage, so it'll be Thomas Mundy, our president. He also goes back to the garage. They're all trolling me here today. David Cook, the first man out on track. And 12 drivers. We'll talk a bit about them throughout the session. 10 minutes in this session. Now, we know Kuba Brzezinski, Chris, he impressed us a lot in the Pro Series in 2014. He is here to shine already in round 2.
And he's saying something with his livery as well, wearing the Red Bull. Watch me for next year. Nah, but he's showing some stunning lap times as well. But it was to be expected after last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, he's definitely. I mean, and to come in FSR at the Indianapolis race, come in with a blast and just prove to everyone that he's here. He means business. I think. I'm not sure if he's currently sealed a seat. There's no news yet for a World Championship seat in 2015. We'll wait to see nonetheless. But we go back to David Cook, who's still the first man out on track at the moment, or in the lead currently, to set the first lap. His aspirations, Chris, certainly to achieve a high grid spot, but I mean, he's around the back part of the pack, and that's not where any driver wants to be. But I think step by step, any driver can slowly make their way back up to the front with hard work.
Yeah, clearly, and well, the mod is completely different from what we are used to in FSR. Obviously, it's the winter mod, but I think you already mentioned in previous races that there are little setup changes to be done here. So it's purely about the driving capabilities here. You can only adjust the front wing a little bit and the brake pressure, the brake bias, but nothing more than that. You can't change the suspension, you can't change the gear ratio, you can't change the camber settings or whatsoever. So yeah, these drivers can't blame it on the car setup. I mean, it's pure skill from here.
Yeah, and let's
just hope that David Cook can prove us wrong and make a nice top 10 here.
Yeah, hopefully. David Cook already at turn 4 of the circuit. Now, believe it or not, compared to the front straight, you go 180 degrees up towards turn 4. We'll wrap up how the track looks like in warm-up later on. David Cook, though, hopefully on a strong lap. We look at sector times already. 25.7. And then Kuba Brzezinski at 25.2. Already half a second up, Chris. Very dominant from him.
Yeah, and it's only the first sector. If you already lose 5/10 in the first sector, it will multiply in the second and third. Not that I have no confidence in our David Cook, but yeah, 33.7 here. And I think it will be 1.5 or 2 seconds off of Cuba. Nothing to be ashamed of, it's Cuba, but you know. I mean, Cuba, his sector 2 is 32.7. If you compare that to the 33.7, he already lost a second in sector 2. Like I said, it would multiply.
Well, David Cook now, he's coming across the final stages of the lap, and we'll watch his lap time now. He's staying to the left, obviously, shortest run to the flag, 1 minute 29.7. We wait for Kuba Brzezinski to blitz that time, and he does exactly that. 1 minute 27.1. Now, Nikodem Wisniewski, I think Kuba's friend there, is struggling a lot because he made a mistake on his first run. Now he's got the pressure on his shoulders to set a good lap as Alari Archbius goes to P2 with 1 minute 28.5 as George Winter fills P3 as well with a 29.0.
Yeah, Nikodem Wisniewski almost made a cut there, but like 30 seconds ago, but manages to keep it on the road.
It's an outlap, I think, for him. I'm not quite sure, actually. Yeah, it is actually an outlap for him. So
well, then he just tries to burn the tires up because we have no tire heaters in this mod. I mean, when you leave the pits, they're literally at 15 or 20 degrees, the tires, instead of a comfortably 80. So yeah, you have some nice tire warming to do in your outlap. Here he's going off again.
So very, very aggressive on this outlap for Nikodem Wisniewski. He's right behind Thomas Mundy at the moment, who has also... I think on an outlap, I'm not quite sure, he pulls off the track to get out of the way of Nikodem, who begins his lap. And then we also have Jim Paresis in P5, not where he should really be. He should really be up there battling for the lead.
He is, and I just wanted to say he's gonna make a jump now, because that last lap, I don't know if it was a banker lap, but 29.4 is poor, certainly for a man like Paresis. But he will show that he can go much faster than this. He's crossing the line, and I think it will be a 27.1. Well, there we go.
Cool. And that was, believe it or not, that was the second lap of the run. So he had 2 flying laps compared to other drivers who elected for 1. And he was only less than a tenth behind Kuba Brzezinski for provisional pole at the moment. Very strong lap from Jim. So I think we look at his expectations for this year, Chris. And I mean, to score podiums in 2014, or at least 1 podium for sure, that was legal. And we think, what's his expectations for 2015? I mean, does he aim for wins? Is that too far for him?
I think the mentality every driver in WC has to carry is that you're aiming for a win. You have to do your absolute best. And Jim has already proven to us that he can keep up with the pack, and not only that, he can put himself in the spotlight as well. So if he manages to improve a little bit more than the other drivers have done over the winter, he might be contesting wins. Why not? I mean, it would be really hard, but that's the competition we offer.
Yeah, and FSR, as we know, the world's most competitive sim racing league. I mean, and if you want to join in, join in.
Yeah, definitely. But I hope Morant will be back. I hope Bono will be back. If you're listening, Bono, get your ass back. And no, but literally, you have so many names: Morant, Greco, everyone. And then you also have the classic name. But yeah, let's just keep an eye out on Jim Paresis. But for the moment, I think Eugene from Loganberg can do a better job than a 29.2, can he?
He could definitely do a better job than that. Someone who's also going to improve on the lap is the guy in P1 at the moment. He's going to completely demoralize the rest of the grid. He's going to come across the final corner, and I think he's going to be a couple or few tenths up on his lap, and he does exactly that.
That show off, Kuba Brzezinski breaking the 27 barrier. I think a few drivers now on the grid are thinking, yikes, you know. I didn't do a 26 yet, so and he's doing it without, well, any difficulties, it seems. So, yeah.
Yeah, at the moment.
Good job.
3 minutes left. Great job from Kuba Brzezinski. He's currently in P1. Jim Paresis in second position. He is currently beginning his second stint. He'd probably be his last stint if he doesn't have 2 flying lap run. And then we have Nikodem Wisniewski in P3, Ilari Archbius in P4, George Winter in 5th, Sander Callis 6th, Eugene Van Logenberg 7th, David Cook 8th, DeWald Nell, Philip Koenig, Pascal Sturgis, and Thomas Mundy wrap out the top 10. Top 12 indeed for the Group 1 in qualifying. Remember, there's a second group after this who will kick off proceedings anytime shortly.
But I do think Jim Paresis is making the right decision here in order to, you know, put 2 liters extra in his car and make another lap. I mean, the tire wear isn't as hard as in the Formula 1 cars, and you only need 6 liters in order to do 3 laps. Like I said earlier and pointed out, that the tires are completely cold and blue when you leave the pits at 20 degrees. So it's really nice to have an extra lap in those tires and get some extra heat in it. Can surely save you some tense.
Well, the good thing for Jim actually at the moment is he might improve on his second flying lap on this time around. This is if you can play this or he makes
I don't think
on
so.
his first lap. So we'll see anyway, because it seems like he's pushing really hard, comes across the line, he's actually 1/10 slower. Does he go for a second lap? He does exactly that. So this will be his final run. He doesn't have time to go back to the pits and set another run. And we'll keep our eyes on Jim Paresis. Kuba Brzezinski, though, is still on an out lap. We look towards the back part of the grid. Sander Callis beginning a lap or on an out lap. I'm not sure quite there. For the moment, though, Nikodem Wisniewski, he's currently improving on his best time. He comes through the middle part of the lap, runs a bit wide onto the AstroTurf, but in Sector 2, he's currently 2/10 up on his fastest time, and that would bring him, or would maintain P3, wouldn't it? A big gap from Jim Paresis to Nikodem Wisniewski there, Chris.
Yeah, indeed. And Jim has already cleared Sector 1. He has almost cleared Sector 2, derp. He is, however, 1/10 slower in Sector 1. Can he make it up in Sector 2? He's pretty much par with what he did last lap, so it's now all to do with the last sector. If he wants to beat Cuba, he has to find himself 4/10. Well, that's a little bit too much, I assume, but he's there to prove us wrong. So
hopefully he can.
Yeah, but it would mean a 28.9 in Sector 3, which, well...
If you're positive and optimistic, he could do it. I doubt he will. Comes across the line and a 29.3, so he does not improve, unfortunately. Nikodem Wisniewski did improve, but he still maintains his spot on in third on the grid. And Larry Archpius at the moment, he's currently improved his first sector. He comes across the middle part of the lap. We'll shift our focus to him. He's currently going towards the end of the second sector, and he sets a 32.8. He could jump Nikodem Wisniewski with an immense final sector here. We'll have to watch out as he heads towards the very tight and tricky right-hander at the moment. And then, I mean, the final couple of turns, this remodel is not how we like it. We'd like the old version, but nonetheless.
Oh, I by the way have something to say. And that's ouch! Ouch, Mr. President Thomas Mundi, you didn't set a lap time today. That's rather unfortunate for him, to say the least. He was sure going for it. He has some sector times, but I mean the mod is difficult, I must admit. But yeah, that's unfortunate.
I think it was a last-minute decision for him to race. I think he said he had a fever or of some sort, so he's obviously struggling a bit there. I'm surprised Pashless Sturgis, under pressure. He was currently in P11, 30 seconds off the pace. Currently sets 1.5 seconds below Kuba Brzezinski for P5, and under pressure there, performing and not where he wants to be. Larry Algepius, our pole position winner from last round in P4, but a very entertaining qualifying session nonetheless, as Kuba does reverse driving on the front straight.
Definitely. I just wanted to point out with Thomas, if you count his sector times up, you would come like 28.5 or 29.0, so it would put him like 7th in this session. So I don't really understand why he quit it. Maybe he spun off, I don't know. But these are the names, these are the times, and let's see what Group 2 can do. Obviously it's Patrick DeWitt there, with the biggest reputation of making things happen. I'm sure we are all watching, looking forward to see what he can do. But can he do a 26.878?
Be challenging for Patrick, and we knew how much he struggled with saving tire wear and saving the mechanical components of the car in last year's Winter Series. And this season, at least this year, in that first race, he's changed a lot as a driver. He's really come out motivated and improved. The way he's driving is so smooth, and it's a new Patrick DeWitt, I think, reinvigorated from last year's Patrick.
It's Patrick DeWitt version 2. Yeah.
V2.
V2, new and improved.
Oh.
So let's see what he does. He's certainly eager to set a lap time. He's going out instantaneously. So are a lot of drivers. Who won the race though? Going out first. I think it's David Alrighty.
Actually, I think it's Danny Van Der Neet.
And Will Barnes sounding the horn here. Always nice to hear on the Formula car.
What was it in Monza this year at Pro where it was
but that
Elgin
guy
Falcon?
deserved it, didn't he?
Yeah.
He held him up for one lap. He got blue flag. No, yeah, it was absolutely insane and awesome. But yeah, good memory. However, it's time to shine for all these guys, and like for my own clarification, maybe for some viewers as well, we don't have another qualify session after this, right? The times get combined. This is basically the quali they get.
This is the final session for qualifying. 9 minutes remaining, and Group 2's times, as you said, Chris, will merge with Group 1, and we'll get our grid for our 26-lap race.
Well, it is looking promising, though.
Is very promising. I want to talk about Michi though. He's improved a lot over this off-season. Even won a race, even beat a man named Kuba Brzezinski at Hungary in the ASR series. So he's certainly a guy who wants to shine in this Winter Series, as well as Daniel Brewer. But Patrick de Wit will start his lap, and our focus is mostly on him, the winner from round 1, current championship leader.
Yeah, Michi Hoyer obviously is going to drive for precision next year, and having some good results in the Winter Series also gives a little bit self-confidence, but also for the team as well. Like, okay, we got the right man for the job.
Is he driving for precision?
Well, he should be.
Oh, okay. That's news to me. I'm quite amazed. I thought he was driving for ACR.
Is he? Well, then I'm really sorry to state that. I thought he would. However, Patrick is locking up his tires and having a little bit of trouble finding the apex in sector 2. However, this is the really tricky part. This corner will catch you out, or it won't. He's going really wide, making use of every square inch of the track. But what will his sector times be? 25.1 in sector 1. And in sector 2 it's 32.6, so he has to look for a 29.0 here.
Decent sector times, but he can go faster. We've seen him lock up as he comes towards the final sector of the lap, blitzing through. Now the right-hander, and then this tight little chicane, jumping the curbs one by one. Now towards the end of the lap, he's aiming for a 29.0, as you said, Chris, and he coasts the car and lets it sail left, and he speeds and screams across the line at 27.1. We saw Kuba's 26.8 for pole, so he has to push on this second lap of his stint.
Yeah, he sure has, but it's a good starting of his qualifier, I suppose. Daniel Brewer is in second with 27.8, followed by Guillermo Prieto with a 27.8 as well. Let's see what Michi Hoyer can.
Well, Michi Hoyer's made a mistake. He's a 28.6. He can certainly go faster than that. I've seen faster times than him in warm-up. Patrick de Wit, though, 25.142. Carbon copy first sector of his first lap. He's completely matched it. Locks up at the same corner. Am I watching a replay here? I don't know. I'm not. It's completely. It's the exact same lap that we saw in the first one. Lock up at the same corner. Exact same
Patrick.
First sector.
Cheats. No. I'm just joking. However, he has to perform in sector 2 here. He did make that lockup again. It's at 32.7, so he lost a tenth indeed. So, and flying, spinning off, and it's gone.
Getting very aggressive there, and I think he's probably just going to keep his cool. He's currently in at least P2 on the grid, I'm pretty sure. I think Jim Priest has bet him, though.
Talking about a mistake, or he maybe stepped foot in a Renault 2.0 car, I don't know. Jeffrey Fournier with a 143.9. So that's 18 seconds off the pace.
The good thing for him is that I think he did go off the track in Sector 2. This time around, he's probably going to be about 10 or 8 seconds faster in this Sector 2, and he does exactly that, a 33.2, 13 seconds.
Wow.
So talking about in a Formula 3.5 car, I think his pit crew gave him the wrong car when he came out of the garage. He's in the right one now.
Oh, he's going off almost. Oh, no, just taking a wide line. However, Michi Hoyer, what can you do? He made up 5/10 in Sector 1. Does a similar sector in Sector 2 and already stalled his lap. So 5 minutes left, Michi, come on.
He's really going to push. The pressure's on him. And now he comes out of the pits, 4.5 minutes remaining in the session, as Patrick de Wit is also out on an out laps. We watch Patrick and Michi, who both are under pressure here. Patrick has to defend P1, and Michi is below his expectations for this qualifying session. Daniel Brewer doing a nice job in P2 at the moment. He's currently on a flying lap, so we'll follow him through turn 3, the very difficult part of the track, Chris. We know how much the left side of the tyres will take a beating, and I think strategy today, a no pit stop strategy will be ideal, so it's really important to maintain the tyre grip through turn 3.
It sure is, it sure is. Ruud Heesterbeek, by the way, just stole P2 in this session from Daniel Brewer with a 27.7 compared to the 27.8 of Daniel. So good job from Ruud. But let's see what Michi is doing. He's just warming up the tire severely. And he realizes that this is his last run and he has to make it count. And well, let's see if he can. I think he can. Patrick de Wit crossing the line now in order to get his final run going.
I think, is that... One sec, I was looking at the wrong person there, but anyway, Guillermo Prieto spun off the track on a very fast lap. That's unfortunate for him, but he could have improved definitely. It's very tight. Look at the gap between P2 and P4 at the moment.
Oh, there's still time. He can do 2 laps.
Half a tenth. He does have, exactly.
He can do 2 more fast laps, so he's in the clear for now with another chance. Patrick de Wit, 25.2, 1/10 down or up, however you wanna call it. He's 1/10 slower than his previous fast lap. So, tricky. Definitely when you have a Kuba Brzezinski that you have 3/10 to improve on is in front of you.
The good thing for Patrick though is that Kuba's starts have been lacking the intensity of other drivers, so he maybe could jump him on the start, but nonetheless, look at that second sector, 32.4.
So he needs 2 more tenths in this last sector, 2 more tenths. That would mean a 29.2 for him. I'm sure he can do that. He's surely pushing for every piece of grip he can get. Early on the throttle there, almost catches him out on the grass, but keeps it together. And it is a 26.9, so he breaks the 27 barrier, but it's just not fast enough. He has one more shot though. He has one more shot.
Now, this is his difficult decision. Does he keep going? Which he does. He can come back to the pits and warm up the or at least cool down the tires and get another flying lap in. But he's decided to go for a 2-lap run once again through turn 3. We'll have a look at his first sector once again. And at the moment, a 25.1. He's improved in the first sector.
That's good. Can he keep it together?
Believe it or not, that's purple in the first sector. Fastest of any driver out on track. He locks up again at turn 5. The very difficult downhill braking zone. And this is going to be very important.
It was a lock-up whilst the tires were still spinning. But he's almost getting caught out on the most difficult part on the track in these cars. Believe me when I say that. So what's the second sector? It's a 32.6, so he lost 2 tenths. He stops. He's given up. It's over.
So at the moment, Kuba Brzezinski's on pole unless anyone else can beat him. Michi Hoyer, currently slower, on his second part of the lap, slides, almost drifts through turn 5. So that corner's catching out a lot of drivers today. We'll have a look at that throughout the race. And we could see some overtaking there as well. Ruud Heesterbeek actually on another run as well. He's on an out lap. He's going to begin his final lap anytime soon. Daniel Brewer in P4, very tight between him and Ruud Heesterbeek. Only 300ths of a second between them, as well as Guillermo Prieto, 100th of a second behind Daniel Brewer. Those 3 are in a big qualifying battle. Any mistake will make a difference.
And Prieto is the last guy to go out, if he has packed those additional 2 leaders. I surely hope Michi Hoyer has, but he spun off. Michi Hoyer has pressed escape, it's over for him, so we count him out. 27.4, a little bit disappointing, not so much for me, but I think for himself mostly. I think he would expect more than that. However, Ruud Heesterbeek is going out for his last lap, and so is Prieto.
Prieto just improved to P3 actually, so he's on a second flying lap now as the session ticks over to 0 and the checkered flag comes out. So Guillermo Prieto in P3 jumps Ruud Heesterbeek and Daniel Brewer. Ruud Heesterbeek under pressure now. He's currently set his fastest first sector. Every driver is doing it under pressure. Daniel Brewer in the pits, his qualifying session is over. And we concentrate then back on Ruud Heesterbeek through the uphill section and down towards sector 2.
So 25.4 in the first sector. The second is at 32.7. It's the fastest for him as well. So he's definitely going for it. Obviously, when he was starting this lap, he was still in third. Now he's fourth. So he really has to work for it. And it would be a nice performance from him. So only a couple of corners to go here. If he keeps it together, I'm sure he will jump Prieto. But he might even jump Michi Hoyer as well. It has everything to do with this exit. Can you do it, Ruud? He crosses the line in a 27.523. So it's just enough to catch Prieto, not enough for Michi Hoyer, fortunately for Hoyer. But what can Prieto do? Can he answer? He doesn't have the sector times, I believe, or he
does actually.
He does.
Believe it or not, he does. He comes across the line. He could jump Michi Hoyer. He does exactly that. What a time!
Hats off for Prieto here, being the best of the rest. Patrick was really like Cuba, you know, in this session, and Cuba in the last session, a man on his own. But yeah, Prieto definitely best of the rest from this session.
Great job from them. Patrick de Wit takes P1 of Group 2. Prieto in P2, we just saw a wonderful job from him to jump Michi Hoyer at the end. And Ruud Heesterbeek, Daniel Brewer, currently in P4 and 5. Then it has Danny van der Neet in P6. So I'm not sure where Kuba is. Kuba is not, he's in P3. So the grid's not set. I'm reading the wrong.
It's not set up.
Yeah, my bad. But anyway, as warm-up begins, we will start a 5-minute warm-up session, and this is where we get to chat a bit about fixed setups and all the kinds of the likes they have here in the Winter Series.
I think it's a really good formula in order to get the setups pretty much fixed. You are able, like I said earlier, to change the front wing the way you like. You can change the brake bias, and you can increase or decrease the brake pressure, but that's it. No, that's completely it. So yeah, a lot of freedom for these drivers to, you know, without any good setup in FSR World Championship, you wouldn't be anywhere. Here you can really show what you got. So yeah, hopefully we would see some names that we aren't used to be seeing in the front of the grid that, you know, can catch us out.
Definitely. As we also want to give a shout out to the new TV overlay we have here at FSR. Looks very beautiful, looks great, and that's genuine words coming from me, as we have a very nice sun or shadows that we're seeing at the moment. The track's rubbered up through warm-up, I'm pretty sure, so we should see the fastest times. We saw him in qualifying, but we should see the times at least increase for the race. And we talk about a real road, Chris, or at least the grip on the track. Does it make a huge difference? We know, I mean, how much rFactor 2, it's gone a long way since 12 months ago where, I mean, drivers couldn't even start a race in the Winter Series, but now it's gone to such an extent that, I mean, it's amazing to see the real road has such an adverse effect and a very, or at least a very big effect on drivers' qualifying times, and how important it is to go out last instead of 10 minutes remaining in the session.
And it's what we want to see. It's what we've all expected from rFactor to deliver. Not only the tire models are certainly more realistic than they were in rFactor 1, but indeed the temperatures are starting to, you know, you have to take them into account as well. So I think it's improving our sim racing experience. Right?
Of course it is, and that's the more the years go by, the more technology, well, at least gets better, and we end up with better simulation.
rFactor 3 announced in 2 months? No, joking.
But the problem is, if rFactor 3 is announced, it'll probably be in beta for the next 5-6 years, so there's no point really waiting for that.
No, there is no point indeed. But no, we got a good base and a good foundation to build on, and considering this is still in beta, I think they're doing a fantastic job. I just want to have them to fix Spa. You know, they need to fix Spa. I need it, and we all need it for FSR next year, don't we?
Yeah, and it wasn't delightful driving at 300 kilometers an hour and then all of a sudden getting a big jump because I've crashed into nothing. But anyway, that will be fixed soon, hopefully. Nonetheless, 2 minutes remaining in warm-up. Now we shift our focus to the race, Chris. No stop strategy will win it, and it's very important to keep your head cool, to not lock up, to keep the tyres maintained. And who's your driver to win? I mean, we know Kuba at the moment, the fastest time, he's on pole, but do you think Patrick will get that lightning start? It's a very long run down to turn 1 here, so
Well,
it's
actually,
the opportunity for anyone.
Actually, my driver didn't show up. He allocated, but Ron Squire didn't show up. So, but my second choice. Nevertheless, if you're watching this after the race and you think I'm only a second choice, don't worry. I don't know. I had a high head off on from Eugene from Loggerberg. I really thought he would deliver, but I would say Jim Parisius. I would go for Jim.
Jim's certainly capable. He was our Winter Series winner last year. I bet Yuri Tournament was a rookie into FSR, so we had a pretty big competition as well. I mean, I remember at Silverstone, because that was when I first started in Formula SimRacing, was when I remember watching Patrick de Wit struggling. He kept locking up every corner, and I'm thinking, this isn't the guy I need to watch driving. I need to watch Jim. He's very smooth. But now it seems that Patrick this year is the driver everybody needs to watch to see how to drive this car.
Last year, Patrick de Wit was just a complete de Wit. I mean, it was it was awesome. No, but well, let's just hope he's. I've talked with him yesterday, and he said he had high hopes of the race. He did practice a lot, so he's certainly prepared and well and ready for it, and also for the new season. And well, no matter what has happened on and off the track for Patrick, I just think it's amazing that a driver that came with us at FSR in 2007 is still driving with us 8 years later. I mean, in my opinion, you can only have respect for that. He's like the Rubens Barrichello of FSR. So
we have Saxon, John Eric Saxon as well, our president from last year, as well as Blair Disley. Don't forget Blair; he's still hanging around there, and hopefully he can get back to his race
good old
winning
Blair
days.
Disley, and of course Giuseppe Marconi.
Yes, Marconi.
The legend. Mr. Maldives, showing off his pictures on Facebook in the Maldives. Hi, I'm Giuseppe, I'm on the Maldives. Yeah, really envy that guy sometimes. However, I get really frustrated in the winter, as you notice. You know, low temperatures, low mood. But we are almost starting up the warm-up. I mean, I presume there's a formation there.
Yeah, there is. Not like
so. Indeed. And the race pace that Patrick de Wit is showing with a 28.7 is, well, promising. But Kuba Brzezinski didn't choose to spoil his hand. He did a 49 point something. So he just made maybe a few changes and just tries to get the feeling with 70 or 75 liters of fuel. We got 26 laps coming up for you. And well, take us to the grid, Johnny. I will be right back in a few seconds.
Oh, good. So 26 laps, 120 kilometers. Should be around 40 minutes today for this race as the formation lap. And Kuba Brzezinski will kick it off any time soon in just a few seconds. And him will share that front row of the grid with Patrick de Wit in P2 on the grid. And then we look at row 2. It's Jim Parisius and Nikodem Wisniewski. We know watching Fernando Alonso starts in previous Formula 1 races, anybody can lead into this first corner from those front 2 rows. Guillermo Prieto and Michi Hoyer in currently P5 and 6. That's the third row. And then Ruud Heesterbeek and Daniel Brewer in P7 and 8. 2 drivers who have the ability, at least, to take it to these front guys. So definitely watch them throughout the race. Larry Archbius, our pole sitter from round 1 in P9. Not where he wants to be, but he's got a long task ahead of him today for 26 laps. And then Sander Kallis rounds out our top 10. Paschalis Georges, the Greek man, alongside Danny van der Neet, Crown 7 Netrex driver, in P12. And then George Winter and Giordano Variano round out row 7. Eugene van Loggerberg, David Cook, Jeffrey Fournier, Philip Koenig, De Waldnell, Marcel Gerber round out our top 20, and then David O'Reilly, Martin Borgen, Will Barnes, and Thomas Mundy, who at the moment is elected to start from the pits, will wrap out our 24-car grid. Lots of ambitious drivers, and I just spoke about it before, Chris, how Alonso starts throughout his Formula 1 career, especially at this track. Anybody in that top 4 on those first 2 rows on the grid can lead into this first corner.
Yeah, it's a promising start indeed. Yeah, let's see. It's all about who has the better start. If you know have a misshift or whatever, you will lose out. And well, if we would see Nikodem Wisniewski or whatever his name is going into P1 at turn 1, I would be you know, filled with joy.
We'll certainly watch that anytime soon. Nikodem Wisniewski, very new name, and he's out there to impress here this afternoon.
By the way, nice livery of Will Barnes. I mean, that monster livery is really,
Well, he's
screaming for attention, I would say, but...
I don't see it, but Thomas Mundy currently waiting at the end of the pit lane. Kuba Brzezinski has currently, actually passed his grid spot, but nonetheless, he's back on it. We wait for Will Barnes, our last car on the grid, to take his place.
I have a feeling, though, it's Cuba versus the Wit into turn 1. I have that feeling. Maybe Jim can surprise us and you know, cut in between them, but I think it's Cuba and Patrick making out who's leading this race after turn 1.
Well, here we go. Kuba versus Patrick, as well as Jim Paresis, Nikodem Wisniewski, who will scream towards the first corner. The lights will light up, 5 of them, and all ambitious drivers will stare at them, and they release the throttle and the clutch as Patrick DeWitt gets a very good start already into the slipstream of Kuba Brzezinski. He goes defensive straight away on the front straight. Look at Nikodem Wisniewski already into P3 from Jim Paresis. Patrick and Kuba battle down towards the first corner.
Big crash into turn 1. A lot of people are spun off, have spun off, and the big crash, but a lot of people came through as well. And it seems like Kuba Brzezinski is the guy who leads after turn 1, and we already missed Jim Paresis on P3 because that spot has been taken by Nikodem Wisniewski. That name though.
Well, we look at Kuba Brzezinski leading, Patrick DeWitt under immense pressure from Nikodem Wisniewski behind. Jim Paresis is falling back from the top 3. Guillermo Prieto already on the back of Jim Paresis as well. We saw Michi Hoyer at the start. I'm not always have another accident in the back. I think that's DeWald Nell spun around. But nonetheless, we shift our focus to the top part of the pack. And Guillermo Prieto P5, Alari Alchpius in P6 on the run down to the end of the second sector. George Winter in 7th, Santa Callis 8th. Ruud Heesterbeeks dropped a couple of positions in P9, and Danny Van Der Neet had a great start. He's currently in P10. Very good start from him.
Yeah, definitely. And it's very obvious that Patrick is sliding around much. Wow, he's really sliding a lot. And Cuba is just, you know, steadily driving and maintaining the pace he wants to, but Patrick is, well, let's just say really aggressive these first lap, few laps I would want to say. Tries to catch the slipstream from Cuba, but not really close enough.
Kuba's overly defensive in these first couple of laps, and he currently leads the race at the end of the first lap, half a second in front of Patrick DeWitt. That's the same gap from him to Nikodem Wisniewski in P3, and Jim Paresis is slowly making his way back up
and
to the
Danny
pack.
Danny van der Neek making contact with Paschalis Gergis, and that wasn't so nice, but both drivers escape unharmed. And Ruud Heesterbeek, like you said earlier, he's really the victim of that of a bad start. He's driving around in 9th place now, after we've seen him deliver such a nice qualification. So disappointing for him, but he has a lot of laps to make up for, 25 laps. So the race is still on.
Definitely plenty of time for him there, so we'll see him make his way up through the field. Another man making his way up through the field is Michi Hoyer. He's getting eagerly and utterly frustrated behind Marcel Gerber in P15, and he's trying to make his way through. He just can't find a gap, and as well as Daniel Brewer, who's had a poor start, I think he was involved in that incident, is going to make a move on Michi Hoyer up the inside.
And I'm going to interrupt you, because I think Patrick DeWitt can have a shot in at Cuba here. I'm not saying he will pass him. I say he is close enough, but he did have a compromising exit. However, can he do this? He certainly has the slipstream, he certainly has the straight in order to make an overtake. But he just doesn't have the top speed to stick his car besides Cuba's. And for the moment Cuba manages to stay on the leading position. They are, though, slowly pulling away from number 3 guy Nikodem. But it's only a second for now.
Yeah, Nikodem Wisniewski also a second in front of Jim Paresis. Actually, Jim's closed that gap. And remember, these cars do have DRS, so that's going to aid Patrick on his pursuit towards P1 once again. He needed that lightning start though, Chris, and he didn't get it. Now he's stuck behind Kuba. He has to earn it through a passing maneuver on track.
Well, I wouldn't say stuck behind. I know you didn't meant it like that, but that's a little bit too much discredit for Cuba, because Cuba is a really fast guy and you're not stuck behind him. I mean, he's the pace setter at the moment, and it's Patrick's call to make a move in. But if Cuba drives the way he does at the moment, there's just no opportunity for Patrick because the gap is just purely too big. He has to do it himself or wait for Cuba to make a mistake. But we already seen from last year that those mistakes are rare from Cuba. But no, he didn't have a perfect season, so who knows?
I think, though, what is going to play a big factor in this race is the dirty air. Already on lap 2 or 3, drivers just can't get past the other cars. And we look at Michi Hoyer now, still can't get past Marcel Gerber, even though he's quite significantly faster than him, especially in the qualifying sessions. Back to the lead, very, very big of a gap. It's 0.7 of a second now between Kuba and Patrick, and that's 0.9 of a second between P2 and P3.
Yeah, I think Patrick is, and I know the tires aren't really overcooking a lot, but I think Patrick is driving a little bit too aggressive and wants to win the race in the first 2 laps. If he slows down a little bit and gets on his pace now, it should be okay. But if he keeps on driving aggressively like this, he will, well, maybe even have to make a pit stop. I don't know.
We'll wait to see, because at the moment, as you said, Patrick is very aggressive. He's stuck in the dirty air. That's going to overheat the tires. And if you do make a pit stop, it's going to drop you down lots of places as he struggles for traction outside.
But as a driver,
if
you have the P1 in your side like this, he has to really go off the throttle. But what I wanted to say, if you're a driver, if you're a true racer and you see the P1 there, it's very hard to resist the temptation of going all out, you know. And never mind the strategy, I just wanna get into the lead. Yeah, self-control is a big part. And tire control comes hand in hand with that.
Yeah, since it is very difficult for drivers to get past, as we unfortunately have Eugene Van Lagerberg and Nikodem Wisniewski with a DNF as well. So first 2 retirements already in the race. I'm not sure what happened to Wisniewski there, but that was very out of nowhere. He's just retired from the race. I'm not sure what happened there. He just left.
Oh, he did.
It was out of his control. It wasn't his fault.
Well, unlucky, I suppose.
So technical issues, yes, technical issues, and unlucky for him. And that allows Jim Paresis into our final podium spot, but Guillermo Prieto wants that as well. And he had a very strong round in round 1, and now he's here on another pursuit towards a podium spot, as well as Daniel Brewer now, who's had a DNF. And we have side-by-side battling though with Heasterbeek and Callis. This is very interesting. Callis almost squeezes him in the braking zone, but they live for another day.
And Ruud Heesterbeek trying to cut across now, but he's really stuck in that position. Going back to the lead, it's remarkably close at the moment, closer than it was 1 lap ago when Cuba had a lead of 7/10. It's now only 2 or 3, and Patrick with the DRS here, not able to make a move in, but able to catch up some time, but hard on the brakes and locks up again.
Oh, we've had, I think George Winter's gone off the track, and that's allowed, I think, Alari Austrius into P5. Maybe, no, actually he's just gone off the track. Alari Austrius was always in P5. I've looked at the wrong timing screens there. Now the issue for Patrick de Wit, once he does get within 3 or 4 tenths, he loses that time because of the dirty air. Here he comes now with DRS. Now Kuba Brzezinski is under immense pressure. He's doing a great job, but is this time for him to hand over P1 to Patrick de Wit? He's not going to allow that to happen.
He's already gone back to the racing line. Indeed he is, and if Trick uses his head here, he could think, okay, I'm keeping up with him now, I maybe give him 1 or 2 seconds now, and you know, spare my tires a little bit, and try again in the last 10 laps or whatever. Here, he's already struggling to get this corner full throttle, which should be easy at this part of the race. I think he's burning up quite severely at the moment, but I hope he proves me wrong, obviously.
Big battle with P8, 9 and 10. Sander Callis, Paschalis Jurgis and Danny van der Neet very side by side. Jurgis gets very loose on the entry into turn 3 or turn 4 indeed, and he's on a pursuit towards Sander Callis. Immense pressure as well there, so lots of pressure on a lot of drivers today having to defend. But Danny van der Neet is playing safe. He's being patient and not going to ruin his tires. He's waiting for them to battle and then pounce.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say, and as you just said, that Jurgis goes wide as well, has a little bit of a oversteer moment, but yeah, Danny van der Neet is just waiting for something to happen and capitalize on that. Let's see if it will. Jim Paresis in 3rd spot, trying to catch up with Patrick.
Oh,
I
Valeriano's
hear something.
crashed as well. Valeriano's out. Yeah, he's the one who's crashed, and he's out of the race. Unfortunately, got loose on the exit of turn 9.
Missy Horner finally taking Philip Koenig on the inside, and now he's in a little bit of free air. Come on, Missy, you're in 11th spot. You can do much better than this. And George is now trying to pass Sander Kallas, who's not making any defensive move whatsoever. So just opening the door and saying, come right through. Now that would give Danny van der Niet a lot of hope. Maybe he will be able to pass Sander Kallas that easily as well.
Oh, Georges, unfortunately, I think he's had a technical issue just as you were saying that, and hopefully that's resolved anytime shortly, because at the moment he's going to be out of the race. So Sander Kallas not defending, playing it smart, and he's Patchless Georges is now our 5th DNF of the race, along with Eugene Van Lagerberg, Nikodem Wisniewski, Daniel Brewer, and Giordano Valeriano. And now Danny van der Niet's time to shine is now.
At this rate, we won't keep any drivers. I mean, we've got 6 laps, 5 retirements. I mean, I hope this is it for this race.
It's very odd. We've seen so many of those technical, at least connection issues today. So I'm not sure if that's an issue with the server or not. But we'll endeavour to check that out later.
Danny van der Niet with a big lockup, but still looking promising for him to take Sander Kallas this next straight. Let's keep an eye on that. At the moment the field is starting to spread out a little bit, and Patrick is losing out on Cuba as well. Cuba even going defensive, whilst Patrick isn't even in I think DRS range. So Patrick has to play it safe now, in my opinion. He should be a little bit more careful on the tires and just hope Cuba makes some lockups so he can cut across him later in the race. However, he has to do it. And meanwhile. Yeah.
Sorry, the good thing for Kuba is that this is the first time he's over a second in front of Patrick de Wit. As Sander Kallas and Danny van der Niet are battling, and Danny van der Niet takes P8 from Sander. So Sander Kallas on the back foot already in the early stages of the race on lap 7. So Danny van der Niet on a charge, great start from him. He's already into the top 10 in P8. His next man on his checklist is Ruud Easterbeek in P7, 2.5 seconds in front, and will endeavour, or at least hope, to see Danny van der Niet on a charge.
Yeah, great move from him indeed. Michi Hoyer though, maybe he has some damage or something, because his times are not really up to par with what he did in the warm-up session as well. And he's almost losing the car as well. Keeping it together, but for how long is my question.
We could see a lot of, the rate of attrition today is very high, and as Patrick de Wit makes the gap between him and Brzezinski less than a second again. I think it could even be half a second. We'll watch as they come across the line to start lap 8. It's 0.7 of a second now, so he's slowly coming back up. I think Patrick just made a mistake.
I think you meant to say Cuba made a mistake, because Patrick is really catching him at the moment. And definitely Cuba had some top speed issues in terms of laps before, but Patrick really is going wide at this stage, and we only have not even a third of the race distance covered. We are in lap 9 at the moment.
Ruud Easterbeek's just gotten past George Winter for P6, so that means Danny van der Niet's the next man on his checklist is George Winter now, as George Winter tries to go back up the inside. Fighting spirit there from George, but he just can't maintain, or can't at least get P6 back, and now he's he's at least on the back foot to Danny.
Well, George Winter didn't went for the Robin Freins award, did he?
No.
On Jules Bianchi.
No, we won't speak about any of those kinds of moves, but well, Robin Freins, at least he is a quality driver, so both of them. Hopefully Jules Bianchi does get well soon.
Indeed he will. However, Cuba is struggling now as well, and well, if he keeps struggling like this, he might get under pressure severely. But the gap is still there, and it has grown a little bit from last lap. Jim Paresis, however, is not able to capitalize on the inconsistency of the leading drivers. He's really a little bit of free air, but he has to worry about Guillermo Prieto as well, because he's knocking on the door.
Yeah, lots of driving in his mirrors as well, because Guillermo Prieto is not giving up. We have two battles evolving at the moment, the battle for the lead between P1 and 2, as well as this battle for the final podium spot.
You know what would be something? If Cuba and Patrick are so preoccupied with themselves, with battling each other, that in the last 5 laps, Jim and Guillermo Prieto are just, flying past because they still have the tires, the life in their tires. I mean... That would be something, because Patrick and Cuba are really going to the edge on this one. They're both pushing extremely hard. Nice to see, though.
I completely agree with you, because look at Patrick now. He's stuck in the dirty air. He could, he could certainly lose that second place to Jim or Guillermo, because he's just been stuck in the dirty air the whole time. But then again, Guillermo Prieto has made a mistake, actually, and he's dropped down to P4. Oh, he's hit into the wall as well. He lost his front wing. He's going to have to make a pit stop. It was on the exit of turn 9, and we've seen, I think it was Giordano Valeriano as well who made a mistake. He got caught out by that AstroTurf to the left. So Jim Parisas, all the pressure is off him for the moment. He's having a lonely race already on his first few seconds in P3. He's only 3.5 seconds away from the lead, so hopefully he can slowly reel those top 2 in and make this a 3-way battle for a win. Yeah,
Prieto now into the pit straight, and his wheel seems a little bit twitchy as well. It's basically bye-bye, zwy, good result. It's not going to happen today for him though. But yeah, well, that just gives Jim some extra relievement, because he's in complete clear air now. He's 2 seconds or 3 seconds shy of the leaders, and he has 5 or 6 seconds he has a 5 or 6 second lead over Algari Alpus, so time for him to just focus and keep it together and keep those tires as clean as possible. And that's the only way he can make it. He already realizes that it's not a pure pace. He will win this race today. It's only if the guys in front make a mistake, and that's a tactical mistake as well.
It is. It's going to be a strategy is going to play a big part in this race. And yeah, we said there's no pit stops, but strategy also includes at least saving tyre wear and knowing when to attack, when not to attack. As Danny Van Der Neat wants to attack right now on George Winter. He's caught right up to the back of him.
And he's doing a great job, by the way. He started 12th position, 14th.
But yeah,
he's now
12,
driving a 7th.
13, 14, something like that. Exactly right. And he's already jumped up pretty much half the positions that from P1, or you know what I mean. But he's currently putting the pressure on George Luke. Oh, he jumps the curb as well.
So Jim was on this last lap faster with half a tenth than Patrick de Witt. So let's see about that difference. Cuba Brzezinski has increased his lead with another tenth. But it seems to me like Patrick is much stronger in the second sector and gains a little bit on the first one as well. And as soon as the third sector comes, Cuba's just gone with 5/10. No, and then the complete circle goes again. Oh, and Patrick de Witt making a complete lockup. This will lose a lot of time. Wow. I mean...
Yeah, turn 5 again.
I mean, if Jim keeps this together, he might have... will have a good shot in. I mean, this is just going to the limit, is what we're seeing here with Cuba and Patrick.
Unfortunately for Jim, though, Cuba is still keeping the pace going. He's still running away with the lead. He's slowly bringing Jim away from the battle, and so that's unfortunate for Jim, because he's going to have a lonely race if that's the case. But then again, if Patrick keeps locking up, he could fall into the hands of Jim for P2.
Yeah, he sure could. And well, Patrick known to make 1 or 2 mistakes during races, and I don't mean that offensively. Take Cuba Brzezinski for example. He's not the guy to be threatened. I mean, if you drive behind him, he will be like, okay, I'm gonna show you that it's not, easy to pass me. If he tries to overtake you, he's constantly looking for a gap. He's the guy that pressures and doesn't brake easy. Patrick tends to brake, well, more under pressure, I would say.
Well, it's up to Patrick to show that Patrick de Witt V2 is a man who doesn't brake under pressure.
Well
so we'll wait
spoken,
to
Jonny.
see if that happens.
Well,
thank you very much.
So going into the downhill,
I want to say actually for Patrick de Witt V2, I mean, he's saving the tires. I mean, hopefully he keeps his head cool. What else do you think he can improve on as a driver? I mean, we know that he is top class of a World Championship driver, but everybody does have room for improvement, even the best. So, I mean, is there any aspects you think, I mean, being around the same atmosphere, team atmosphere as Patrick de Vit, is there anything you think he can improve upon for 2015?
Well, finally get to round 2 in the GT Academy and not dropping out the first round. I don't know. No, I really have no idea, dude. But nah, it's all okay. He's showing signs of improvement for this year. So let's just see where it leads him. He should be having a better exit this way around. And here again, that oversteer moment that is gonna cost him like 5 kilometers at this moment and maybe 10 kilometers at the end of the straight. Obviously he will reach his top speed, but not as soon as he was hoping to. Going offensive though. Don't do it, Pat, don't do it. Good job.
He keeps his head cool.
Yeah, he does keep his head cool. Now it's just the decision making with Patrick, I think. His decisions of going completely for it are sometimes a little bit out of balance, and I hope he will and has improved a little bit on that. But yeah, there hasn't been, in this race at least, there hasn't been a reasonable gap for him to dive into.
Oh, sorry to cut you off there. Danny Van Der Neat around the outside of George Winter. What a passing maneuver that was.
Nice job, Danny.
And he snatches P6. So Danny Van Der Neat on a charge. He's one of my favorite drivers today. He's on a charge, as I just said. And Larry Auspius, I think, I at least saw, I think the timing screen was playing up because I thought I saw him in P5 for a second, but now he's in P4. Jim Parisas, 10th by 10th, is slowly catching up to the front two. Now we look at the point standings. Patrick de Vit currently leading the championship with 25 points. Kuba Brzezinski in P2 on 18. Don't forget Jim, he's in P5. He's on 10 points. Any result this afternoon, and if he does improve for the final 2 rounds of the season, he could still be a big factor to play in the championship. Look at that, 2.6 seconds the gap now, half a second in a single sector as the front two battle.
Yeah, this is what I was afraid of for Cuba and Patrick. It's delightful news for Jim that he's faster at the moment. Let's see, 30.0 for Patrick and a 29.4 for Jim. This is purely the tire management. No way he can be a second faster now and you know, 10 laps ago be a second slower. It's all to do with the tire wear. Jim has been in clean air. He has to focus on his own race. Patrick is seeing Cuba all the time, and he says, "I want to take that position off you." And Cuba is like, "I'm going to defend this with the teeth set in my steering wheel. You're not getting past." And it's brilliant to see for us, but we might have a 3-way fight on our hands soon.
We could indeed, as elbows all out for that 3-way battle, hopefully. As I want to go back to something you said before the race, Chris. You said that Jim Parisas was your man to win, and I think you're not far from being correct. I mean, you know, it's early days. We're talking.
Indeed.
He hasn't even caught up to the top 2, but he's got plenty of time to catch up, and he's maintaining the tires, maintaining the grips. We have 12 laps remaining in the race. Plenty of time for all of them to catch up to each other and battle hard as Patrick de Vit keeps the pressure on Kuba. Kuba at the moment, if he's not, I mean, I know it's winter there in Europe, but if he's not sweating, then I don't know what he's like. It's immense pressure, and we know the world's best sim racers are calm in these situations.
Yeah, they sure are, and like I said earlier, Cuba is a perfect example of that. And Patrick with a big moment there, catches him out completely off guard, and that means that Cuba will take a lot of time from him again, 3/10, but it will only multiply at the end of this straight. And Jim is just the happily number 3, looking to be the, you know, 2 dogs fighting for a bone, and Jim takes it home.
It's a pretty big bone for round 2 of the Winter Series, and that's not a sexual innuendo. But anyway,
Say what?
We go back to, don't worry about that. There's Kuba is still within a second of Patrick de Vit behind P1 and 2, and I think though Jim Parisas 10th that last lap he was a 10th faster, so 2.5 now towards Kuba in P1. Very, very close, and I'm getting very excited as we have 11 laps remaining in this race. We look at Alari and Ruud Heesterbeek. We'll watch that battle as well. We'll keep our eyes on that because Ruud Heesterbeek is slowly closing in on Alari for P4. But Danny Van Der Neat is alone now. He's passed all the drivers he could have passed, and 7 seconds behind them. As we go back to the front, Jim Parisas has lost 2/10 in the middle sector.
Yeah, onto Cuba, but he did similar times as Patrick. And well, let's just see Patrick just twitching and twitching with the steering wheel. Like I said, the mod is pretty difficult, but you know, the twitching of Patrick Yeah, here again, the exit of the last corner, or the semi-last corner, is just poor at best.
Is that tyre wear, do you think, playing a part?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Let's just see if he can keep it together. And I think Thomas Mundi is about to get lapped. Indeed he is in 1 or 2 laps. Well, Thomas Mundi is wise enough to just, obey the blue flags and, let the guys pass.
Yeah, Thomas is experienced enough, but the problem is now, as they do lap cars, will at least Kuba catch them in the wrong spots? As Patrick de Witt, this is the biggest gap he's had to Kuba, 1.3 seconds. He's completely fallen behind, sliding as well. And I think Jim Paresis is slowly smirking right now in his lovely cockpit we always see in his stream. Well, unfortunately, he doesn't stream anymore after that incident. But anyway, Jim, hopefully he can catch up to the 2 drivers in front. But nonetheless, Patrick is struggling, and I think the dirty air... Oh, he runs wide as well at turn 9. Patrick de Witt is struggling. He's on the back foot with 10 laps remaining in this race.
And again, constantly locking up in this slow corner while at the brake. But it's only one mistake that is needed from either of those drivers. We've already seen how... who was it again? Alari Alkbus, who made a mistake behind Jim Paresis? I mean, it's a mistake is easily made, but let's hope and see if these guys are not breaking under pressure. And we want to see a fight on our hands, don't we? So
we definitely want to see
a together, guys.
Actually, a fight that's building up is Heasterbeek and Elspius.
Oh, I wanted to say Thomas Mundi and Will Barnes, and that might become crucial because he has the leaders. Oh my God, this would be a moment.
We'll take a look at it. Mundy's still far behind, but look at Ruud Heasterbeek on the back of Alari Elspius. He pulls to the outside. Alari Elspius defends the inside line. Under braking, very close. They almost make contact. And Alari Elspius lives for another day in P4. Wonderful
Great defending there. Yeah, wonderful defending indeed. I mean, it was aggressive, but that should be allowed. It's racing, So, and the car's slowing down there. It's a back marker.
Yeah, that's a nice job of letting lap cars through. Not in the way, Will Barnes and Thomas Mundi. But Thomas, though, Thomas has got past Will Barnes, so he missed that as well. Another big battle is between George Winter, who's dropped behind to P9, behind Michi Hoyer and Sander Callis. He's dropped 2 positions, so that's happened as well. There's so much action already going on with 9 laps remaining. And we look at Ruud Heasterbeek again, still putting the pressure on Alari Elspius.
Well, sorry to say, Patrick, I really like you, but I don't think you're gonna get this win. I think Jim Paresis will take you in 2 laps or so, or maybe even sooner, because he's just knocking on the door right now. And he, of course, has DRS. Patrick de Witt is way too far behind of Cuba in order to open his DRS. So let's see the significance of it. Can Jim close the gap? He can close it, but he can't yet overtake Patrick. He must realize that he has the better set of tires, because he knows Patrick out of FSR, and he knows he's rather aggressive. And well, let's just see if he gets a move done. But Cuba must like this.
Oh, Ruud Heasterbeek has gotten past Alari Elspius for 4th and 5th place there. Big battle between those two. And Alari Elspius gets very loose on the exit, but he maintains it so as well. He will still be in the top 5. So still a good race from him nonetheless. I don't think he should be too frustrated that he lost P4. It's another position. Danny Van Der Neet in P6. Another big battle between Sander Callis, Michi Hoyer and George Winter we're focusing on. No positions changing there. Philip Koenig and Jeffrey Fournier fighting for P10 and 11. Big battles everywhere. The big, most important one is the top 3 that we've been watching most of the race. Jim Paresis, I think, stuck behind in the dirty air of Patrick de Witt. It's going to be a lot harder than we thought to get past him.
I think he's going to do this way around. I think if he gets a better exit on that penultimate corner, and Patrick has a lockup again or whatever, then he will surely carry the momentum in order to take him on the straight. But the opposite happens, and Jim has a better exit, has a worse exit. However, he can compromise with DRS. He's much closer than he was last time around. Patrick has to go defensive here, otherwise he's not going defensive. This might be an opportunity for Jim to just go for it, and indeed he does so. But he gets, well, let's just say outbraked by Patrick. So a great driving from them. However, the momentum that Jim carries here is much higher. Can't really get past in that corner. But
these are two World Championship drivers showing why they do indeed race the World Championship. That's a lap car. David O'Reilly, he gets out of the way, so he doesn't impede the battle. Patrick DeWitt and Jim Paresis, this is incredible. That braking battle into turn 1, I thought they were going to make contact. Patrick DeWitt turned in, was confident that Jim was going to pull behind and not make contact with the rear wheel of Patrick.
And that's the experience there that is straight out of the WC department of Formula Sim Racing. Oh, and Jim goes off! Commentator cursing coming. But yeah. Damn, he keeps it together fortunately. Good job, Jim. And who is that in front of Patrick? Also a back marker who has gotten out of the way from Cuba. So I don't expect any problems there for Patrick and Jim. However, Jim showing to be not immortal to mistakes as well, or immune.
Oh, the lap car. I think Patrick DeWitt will have DRS. I'm not quite sure. Oh, yeah, he's into the slipstream.
He's making use of it. And the lap car is like, no, don't do this. But
straight out of the way. Oh, wait, sorry, look at this. Jim Paresis, I thought, actually, no, he's too far behind. It looked like he was gaining a lot of speed on Patrick in front. Under braking, though, he outbrakes Patrick and he maintains that 1/10 gap he's had throughout the lap to him, but now he loses it in the dirty air in turn 3, so that's not what he wants.
True pity indeed. And Cuba is just the guy that's in front and think, okay, this is what I've needed. Two guys battling it out behind me. I can, release the pressure a little bit from my tires and save them as much as I can and not fall behind. And actually the opposite is happening. He's gaining ground tremendously. Lap by lap, he's gaining half a second because the guys behind him are fighting it out. And let's just see who's bound to come out on top here. But at the moment, I still think it's Jim with the better paper, since he didn't have a fight during the whole race, basically.
Yeah, as I think Jeffrey Fournier might have gotten past Philip Koenig. Yeah, he did indeed. Philip Koenig has made a mistake, almost got off the track. So Jeffrey Fournier into the top 10. Nice job from him. But back to the battle for P2 and 3 at the moment. Jim Paresis, a very good run out of the final corner into the slipstream. DRS open. And this will hopefully be a big braking battle into turn 1. Here he comes. Tucks right into the gearbox.
This is the moment.
Patrick
he's defending, but indeed rather late. Now he has the inside. Jim Paresis doing it out of the book, and I think that was a weird decision from Patrick to not close the door earlier enough, and now he's just going wide. But Jim has it. Jim Paresis has taken P2 from Patrick DeWitt, and now his charge is towards Kuba Brzezinski. He has 3.7 seconds to make up for the lead. That's 5 laps remaining in the race as well. Pretty much got to make up a second a lap and then have those extra couple of seconds to battle. So then we look at P4 and 5. It's Ruud Heesterbeek and Alarie Algepius. And then P6, Danny Van Der Neet. Michi Hoyer has made his way back through the field after that lap 1, turn 1 incident, slowly passing cars. And he's currently in P7, Sander Callis in P8, and George Winter in P9, still hounding Sander after he made that mistake and lost those 2 positions. And Jeffrey Fournier rounds out our top 10. Yeah, and we will have a Red Bull Turkey 2010 situation here with Danny Van Der Neet and Michi Hoyer. Well, let's just not hope it's the same as Turkey 2010, but they're surely gonna fight it out over the remaining laps of this race. Danny Van Der Neet driving in 6th place, Michi in 7th, and it's only 1 second that separates them at the moment. And Patrick DeWitt now really falling behind of Jim. I'm an optimistic guy, but I don't think Jim has the time and laps that will take him in order to catch up with Cuba. I think Cuba, if he doesn't make any more mistakes and keeps his head cool, he would be set for the win. However, doing it is another job. No time to relax for him.
This brings up the aspect of Patrick DeWitt going off the track on the final lap last round. He still won the race, but when this happens with Kuba Brzezinski in this race, he's going to lose that lead, so he doesn't want to do that. And Jim
Patrick
Parise
locking up.
slowly making up 10th by 10th, as yes, Patrick de Wit does lock up straight behind him. So the podium is pretty much going to be between these three unless they make severe contact or a severe mistake. But in which positions, we still don't know. I mean, you can say they're not going to make any passing maneuvers, but as we said, any mistake can occur, and that brings up the issue of a commentator curse. I'm not trying to enforce one, but I mean, you have to look at it smartly and realistically. A single concentration lapse, you're off the track, you're into the wall, and you're pretty much pissed off for the rest of the night.
You sure are. But let's see here, Jim Parise is having a moment of himself as well. He might be faster than Cuba at the moment, but he has to keep it together as well. Now Ruud Heesterbeek is surely looking set for that fourth place spot, so is Gary Alpoes for that 5th place spot. However, like I said earlier, Danny and Michi Hoyer are still fighting it out, and Michi is just gaining ground. However, his problem will be that he has only got 2 or 3 laps to go. So it's do or die for him. Let's get back to the front.
Back to the front, as you go back, Jim Parise's Kuba Brzezinski. Jim was 1/100th of a second faster than Kuba. Almost identical lap time as Jeffrey Fournier and Philip Koenig once again battling in, I think Philip Koenig almost got past Jeffrey. He dived up the inside and they made a bit of contact, but they both live for another day, as well as many drivers have today. Look at the DNFs as we approach the closing stages of the race. Eugene Brown Lagerberg, as we mentioned, on lap 3, as well as Nikodem Wisniewski, Daniel Brewer, Giordano Valeriano, Pascal Sturgis, DeWald Nell, Guillermo Prieto, David O'Reilly. We had a few drivers who have not finished this race, Chris, had certain potential to be up there in the top 5.
Definitely. I mean, disconnections always happen. Unfortunately in a race, but yeah, unfortunately a bit much this race. However, we are entertained, at least I am. We have seen some great stuff, and maybe the best is still to come, who knows, only time will tell. And Jim is at least, well, showing off that he has not thrown the towel into the ring. He's still praying for a mistake from Cuba. However, that's a really slight chance that will happen.
Well, 2 laps to go for Kuba, and at the moment he's slowly coasting his way to his first win of the Formula SimRacing Winter Series here. If you want to sign up, just use the links in the YouTube chat to sign up, go to the forums and get involved. I mean, lots of drivers have gotten their names on the FSR history table, or at least grid, by performing in these parts, or at least in these events, and they get contracts from teams and they slowly enjoy their time and they slowly make a name for themselves around the sim racing scene. Get involved, sign up at the FSR forums at Race Department. Don't forget, you could be battling with the likes of Kuba Brzezinski if you are good enough for P1 at the moment. If you're not, there's plenty of people to battle with in all places of the grid, and that's why we have 3 series to develop ourselves.
But that's the most beautiful thing about the series right now, is that the fixed setup will only leave it to skill. You know, I mean, you can't blame it on the setup. So, I mean, if you think you got the guts, just download the mod, give it a spin, and see what times you can post on the board.
Yeah, definitely. Lots of opportunities for everyone. It's free to sign up, so get involved. Patrick de Wit, sorry to almost cut you off there, Chris, before, but Patrick de Wit had a big wobbly moment on the exit of turn 9, the uphill section of the track, and he almost lost the car. And that's the second time in 2 races that we could have seen him almost crash out in the closing stages. But Kuba Brzezinski begins the final lap, and what a race it's been from him. All that pressure, and it goes to show that he is ready for World Championship in 2015. Well, Kuba sails through turn 3. Then towards P2 is Jim Parise, 3.3 seconds behind. And I'm looking at Danny Van Der Neet. He's almost caught up to Alari Archpius behind. And
yeah, he did. Alari did had a great lead, so with 1 more lap to go, I believe this is the final lap, isn't it?
It is indeed the final lap, yes.
It might be some extra bonus for us and for Danny as well, but well, let's just see. Wow, he's really not even crawling towards Alari, he's just running towards.
But he's running, he's sprinting towards Lowry. We'll keep our eyes on that. But at the moment, we have to concentrate on Kuba Brzezinski in the final sector. All the pressure he's put under today. He's shown, as we mentioned before, he is ready for the World Championship in 2015. He will, in a few corners' time, if he keeps it together, take the win in round 2 of the Formula SimRacing Winter Series.
And it's a well-deserved one as well.
And he will take the championship lead. Exactly, well-deserved for him. Championship lead now for Kuba Brzezinski. Comes through the final corner and he takes the win in round 2 of the Formula SimRacing Winter Series. Wonderful job, very delighted for him. Jim Paresis comes home in P2 and Patrick de Wit, a little disappointed, couldn't keep the tyres together, forms home in P3. We go back to Danny van der Neet in P6, right onto the back of Alari Alchpier, still hounding him for there.
Just a few corners to go, and he's definitely going for it. He's making contact. He's making contact. Michi Hoyer cannot capitalize on that. However, they keep it together. Danny here in the last corner of the track. Will he go for it? Indeed he will, but there's just no space. And he will come home as 6th. So Alari Alchpier keeps on to that 5th spot. And they're still going at it. They're still going for it. Oh wait, the race is finished. Never mind. I think some drivers will be mad. I mean, Alari would say, "Why did you hit me?" And Danny would say, "Why did you do your break in the middle of the road?" In the end, I think this is the fairest outcoming. But what a delightful race it has been, and what a fun part to be what a fun race. A lot of nice moves and a lot of pressure on the top drivers, but none cracked. None cracked. Maybe Patrick de Wit a little bit, but you know,
it's normal to crack under pressure. But your aim is to minimize or at least not do it. But everybody is human. It happens to everyone. As we'll round out the top, or at least the finishes for you once again. Ruud Hees, the big P4, and George Winter giving us some nice burnouts. As I think I saw Sander Callis on in the spectators area. But anyway, I don't know how he got there. As Alari Alchpier P5, Danny van der Neet in P6, wonderful race from him. He's climbed, I think he started around P12 to 14, didn't he? So wonderful job. Michi Hoyer P7, Sander Callis in 8th. George Winter dropped a few positions and he's slowly finished in P9, but he'll be back next round, more determined than ever. And Jeffrey Fournier rounds out our top 10.
And Danny van der Neet already apologized to Alari about that piece of contact, but Alari said my tires were just completely gone. Patrick de Wit keeping it fair as well by saying to Cuba there wasn't any point at the race where he could overtake him. So that's a big compliment Cuba takes from the most experienced FSR driver at the moment. So what a race it has been.
Definitely has been a great race, and I think a wonderful job actually from Marcel Jober in P11, and behind him was Philip Koenig, 12th, David Cook, Thomas Mundy, Martin Morgan, Will Barnes rounds out our finishers. And we spoke about the DNFs, David O'Reilly, Guillermo Prieto, De Waldnell, Pashless Georges, who seemed to have a bit of a technical failure, as well as Daniel Brewer, and I think Nikodem Wisniewski, and Giordano Variano and Eugene Van Lagerberg are the rest of our DNFs today. Now, Chris, we always do this. We always vote for driver of the day. I want to give it to Kuba today. Personally, he did a great job not cracking under pressure. But as well as Danny van der Neet and Jim Paresis, Jim, his expectation is to win. But I didn't think he would be as strong as he was today to finish 2.1 seconds away from the lead. And Danny,
true. He did a great job.
Was excellent.
Yeah, definitely. Danny was definitely the most opportunistic driver today, with claiming position after position after people are just failing to make the right moves. But like I said earlier, mistakes easily made, and the mod is so hard. It's really easy to catch out by a mistake. However, the top drivers didn't. And but my favorite driver of today was still Jim Paresis. I mean, he didn't have the pure space, and I think if Patrick had done a little bit more tire conserving, he would have finished before him, but he didn't, and that was just a tactical insight that Jim had, and it gave him second place instead of third. So he's now the first of the losers instead of the second, but that's actually good.
Can actually play a difference mentally.
He
as
will
you
be
said,
satisfied.
So you're definitely correct.
Cuba was untouchable today, and nobody could have touched him, but. Although if Ron Squire was there, maybe, but it's a pity. Well, maybe next time, Ron. But
Well, he's here. He's here in the commentary booth, actually.
no, that's my name. That's my name.
Yeah, that's it.
But
But,
yeah, but back to business. It has been a fantastic race, and I think it's well giving a feeling of let the real FSR season begin already. And well, not only the real Formula One season will start in just about 5 weeks' time in Australia, in your
I'll
country.
be there.
Yeah,
It's
and a lot of
30 minutes. 30 minutes from my house, so I'll definitely be there.
wow, and a lot of kangaroos and koalas will be there as well, I think.
Not in the city, but anyway.
Nevertheless, I think we have had a great race today.
Yeah, definitely. And if you want to check out the FSR calendar, it's been released. Go to the race department forums where Formula Sim Racing is based, and you can check the calendar. We start on at least in early April for the season, so that's been released and confirmed for now. It's if I actually look at it, it is 4th and 5th of April at Melbourne. So we'll kick off at Melbourne as well as the real Formula One season. We'll wrap it up here from the commentary booth. It's me, Jonny Simon, alongside Chris Jong and Sam Jones on cameras. Been a wonderful round 2 event of the FSR Winter Series. We'll see you in 2 weeks' time.
In 2 weeks' time. Good.
Bye-bye, everyone.